Let's start with Hare Krishna Mahamantra. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare Krishna, and Happy New Year, everyone. Uh, we are on text 27 of chapter 4. We are reading Bhagwat Geeta as it is by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhakti Vedant Swami Prabhupada, founder Acharya of International Society for Krishna Consciousness. Text 27 of chapter 4. Others who are interested in achieving self-realization through control of mind and senses offer the functions of all the senses and of the life breath as oblations into the fire of the controlled mind. Okay. Oblations means samarpan karna. Let's read the purport. The yoga system conceived by Patanjali is referred to herein. In the Yoga Sutra of Patanjali, the soul is called Pratyag Atma and Parag Atma. As long as the soul is attached to sense enjoyment, it is called Parag Atma. But as soon as the same soul becomes detached from such sense enjoyment, it is called Pratyag Atma. The soul is subjected to the functions of 10 kinds of air at work within the body. 10 types of air at work within the body. And this is perceived through the breathing system. The Patanjali The Patanjali system of yoga instructs one on how to control the functions of the body's air in a technical manner so that ultimately all the functions of the air within become favorable for purifying the soul of material attachment. According to this yoga system, Pratyag Atma is the ultimate goal. This Pratyag Atma is withdrawn from activities in matter. The senses interact with the sense objects, like the ear for hearing, eyes for seeing, nose for smelling, tongue for tasting, and hand for touching. And all of them are thus engaged in activities outside the self. They are called the functions of Pran Vayu. The Apan Vayu goes downwards, and Vyana Vayu acts to shrink and expand, and Saman Vayu adjusts equilibrium. Udan Vayu goes upwards, and when one is enlightened, one engages all these in searching for self-realization. Yes, this is what we do in meditation, the breath work. Let's read the text 28 now. Having accepted strict vows, some become enlightened by sacrificing their possessions, and others by performing severe austerities by practicing the yoga of eightfold mysticism or by studying the Vedas to advance in transcendental knowledge. Let's read the purport. These sacrifices may be fitted into various divisions. There are persons who are sacrificing their possessions in the form of various kinds of charities. In India, the rich mercantile community or princely orders open various kinds of charitable institutions like Dharmshala, Ankshetra, Atithi Shala, Anathalaya, and Vidyapeeth. In other countries too, there are many hospitals, old age homes, and similar charitable foundations meant for distributing food, education, and medical treatment free to the poor. All these charitable activities are called Dravyamaya Yagna. There are others who, for higher elevation in life or for promotion to their higher planets within the universe, voluntarily accept many kinds of austerities such as Chandrayaan and Chaturmasya. These processes entail severe vows for conducting life under certain rigid rules. Okay. For example, under Chaturmasya vow, the candidate does not shave for 4 months during the year, which is July to October. He does not eat certain foods, does not eat twice in a day, or does not leave home. This is little strict. Such sacrifice of the comforts of life is called Tapomaya Yagna. There are still others who engage themselves in different kinds of mystic yogas, like the Patanjali system for merging into the existence of the Absolute, or Hatha Yoga or Ashtanga Yoga for particular perfections. And some travel to all sanctified places of pilgrimage. All these practices are called Yoga Yagna, sacrifice for certain type of perfection in material world. There are others who engage themselves in the studies of different Vedic literatures, specifically the Upanishads and Vedanta Sutras or Sankhya philosophy. Okay. All of these are called Swadhyaya Yagna or engagement in the sacrifice of studies. All these yogis are faithfully engaged in different types of sacrifice and are seeking a higher status of life. Krishna consciousness, however, is different from these because it is the direct service of the Supreme Lord. Krishna consciousness cannot be attained by any one of the above mentioned types of sacrifice, but can be attained only by the mercy of Lord and his bona fide devotees. Therefore, Krishna consciousness is transcendent. This was so knowledgeable. Let's move to text 29. Still others who are inclined to the process of breath restraint, to remain in trance, practice by offering the movement of the outgoing breath into the incoming and the incoming breath into the outgoing, and thus at last remain in trance, stopping all breathing. Okay. Others curtailing the eating process offer the outgoing breath into itself as a sacrifice. Okay. This is little technical, but let's read the purport. Maybe we will understand it better. The purport. The system of yoga for controlling the breathing process is called pranayam. And in the beginning, it is practiced in Hatha Yoga system to different sitting postures. All of these processes are recommended for controlling the senses and for advancement in spiritual realization. This practice involves controlling the airs within the body so as to reverse the direction of their passage. Okay. The apan air goes downwards and the pran air goes up. The pranayam yogi practices breathing the opposite way until the currents are neutralized into puraka, that is equilibrium. Offering the exhaled breath into the inhaled breath is called this rechaka. When both air currents are completely stopped, one is said to be in Kumbhak Yoga. By practice of Kumbhak Yoga, one can increase the duration of life for perfection in spiritual realization. The intelligent yogi is interested in attaining perfection in one life without waiting for the next. The intelligent yogi is interested in attaining perfection in one life without waiting for the next. Right. For by practicing Kumbhak Yoga, the yogis increase the duration of life by many, many years. A Krishna conscious person, however, being always situated in the transcendental loving service of the Lord, automatically becomes the controller of the senses. His senses, being always engaged in the service of Krishna, have no chance of becoming otherwise engaged. So at the end of life, he is naturally transferred to the transcendental plane of Lord Krishna. Consequently, he makes no attempt to increase his longevity. He is at once raised to the platform of liberation, as stated in Bhagwat Geeta. One who engages in unalloyed devotional service to the Lord transcends the modes of material nature and is immediately elevated to the spiritual platform. A Krishna conscious person begins from the transcendental stage and he is constantly in that consciousness. Therefore, there is no falling down, and ultimately he enters into the abode of the Lord without delay. The practice of reduced eating is automatically done when one eats only Krishna Prasad or food which is offered first to the Lord. Reducing the eating process is very helpful in the matter of sense control. I will repeat that. Reducing the eating process is very helpful in the matter of sense control. And without sense control, there is no possibility of getting out of the material engagement. Sorry, yeah, material entanglement. Let's read text 30. All these performers who know the meaning of sacrifice become cleansed of sinful reactions and, having tasted the nectar of the results of sacrifices, they advance towards the supreme eternal atmosphere. Let's read the purport. From the foregoing explanation of different types of sacrifice, namely sacrifice of one's possessions, study of the Vedas or philosophical doctrines, and performance of yoga system, it is found that the common aim of all is to control the senses. Sense gratification is the root cause of material existence. Therefore, unless and until one is situated on a platform apart from sense gratification, there is no chance of being elevated to the eternal platform of full knowledge, full bliss, and full life. This platform is in the eternal atmosphere or Brahman atmosphere. All the above mentioned sacrifices help one to become cleansed of the sinful reactions of material existence. By this advancement in life, not only does one become happy and opulent in this life, but also at the end he enters into the eternal kingdom of God, either either merging into impersonal sorry, either merging into the impersonal Brahman or associating with the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Krishna. Wow. Let's read text 31. O best of Kuru dynasty, without sacrifice, one can never live happily in this planet or in this life. What then of the next? Let's read the purport. Whatever form of material existence one is in, one is invariably ignorant of his real situation. In other words, existence in the material world is due to the multiple reactions to our sinful lives. Ignorance is the cause of sinful life, and sinful life is the cause of one's dragging on in material existence. The human form of life is the only loophole by which one may get out of this entanglement. The Vedas, therefore, give us a chance for escape by pointing out the paths of religion, economic comfort, regulated sense gratification, and at last, the means to get out of the miserable condition entirely. The path of religion or the different kinds of sacrifice recommended above automatically solves our economic problems. By performance of yagna, we can have enough food, enough milk, etc., even if there is so called increase of population. When the body is fully supplied, naturally the next stage is to satisfy the senses. The Vedas prescribe, therefore, sacred marriage for regulated sense gratification. Thereby, one is gradually elevated to the platform of release from material bondage, and the highest perfection of liberated life is to associate with the Supreme Lord. Perfection is achieved by performance of yagna as described above. Now, if a person is not inclined to perform yagna according to the Vedas, how can he expect a happy life even in this body? And what to speak of another body on another planet, right? There are different grades of material comforts in different heavenly planets, and in all cases, there is immense happiness for persons engaged in different kinds of yagna. But the highest kind of happiness that a man can achieve is to be promoted to the spiritual planets by practice of Krishna consciousness. A life of Krishna consciousness is therefore the solution to all problems of material existence. Yes. Let's read text 32. The very small one. 32, 33, 34 is the long one, 35 is the long one. We have, we have only like 42 text in chapter 4. Okay, let's read text 30. All these different types of sacrifice are approved by the Vedas, and all of them are born of different types of work. Knowing them as such, you will become liberated. Let's read the purport. Different types of sacrifice, as discussed above, are mentioned in the Vedas to suit the different types of workers. Because men are so deeply absorbed in the bodily concept, these sacrifices are so arranged that one can work either with the body, with the mind, or with the intelligence. But all of them are recommended for ultimately bringing about liberation from the body. This is confirmed by the Lord herewith from his own. Let's read text 33. O chastiser of the enemy. How he is addressing Arjun. O chastiser of the enemy. The sacrifice performed in knowledge is better than the mere sacrifice of material possessions. After all, O son of Pratha, all sacrifices of work culminate to transcendental knowledge. Let's read the purport. The purpose of all sacrifices is to arrive at the status of complete knowledge, then to gain release from material miseries, and ultimately to engage in the loving transcendental service to the Supreme Lord Krishna consciousness. Nonetheless, there is a nonetheless, there is a mystery about all these different activities of sacrifice, and one should know this mystery. Yes. Sacrifices sometimes take different forms. Wow. Pretty. Nonetheless, let me read from the start. Nonetheless, there is a mystery about all these different activities of sacrifice, and one should know this mystery. Sacrifices sometimes take different forms according to the particular faith of the performer. When one's faith reaches the stage of transcendental knowledge, The performer of sacrifices should be considered more advanced than those who simply sacrifice material possessions without such knowledge. For without attainment of knowledge, sacrifices remain on the material platform and bestow no spiritual benefit. Unless you know the essence of the sacrifice, it will not give you the transcendental knowledge, even if you do it properly, because it will still remain on material. Because then it seems like you are doing this for some material gain. Should be doing sacrifice for what you should know. If you're doing like, okay, I will do vrat for Mahalakshmi Puja so that I get lot of abundance and opulences in life. I'm never out of it. This is material. Like this is like all your sacrifice will remain here only. It will not reach a spiritual realm. So once we understand why are we sacrificing something and for what purpose, our mind will get attuned to that. And then when we do the sacrifice, it will raise our spiritual knowledge. When one's faith reaches the stage of transcendental knowledge, the performer of sacrifices should be considered more advanced than those who simply sacrifice material possessions without such knowledge. For without attainment of knowledge, sacrifices remain on the material platform and bestow no spiritual benefit. Real knowledge culminates in Krishna consciousness, the highest stage of transcendental knowledge. Without the elevation of knowledge, sacrifices are simply material activities. When, however, they are elevated to the level of transcendental knowledge, all such activities enter into the spiritual platform. Depending on differences in consciousness, sacrificial activities are sometimes called karma kand or fruitive activities, and sometimes jnana kand, which is knowledge in the pursuit of truth. It is better when the end is knowledge. Let's read text 34. Just try to learn the truth by approaching a spiritual master. Inquire from him submissively and render service unto him. The self-realized souls can impart knowledge unto you because they have seen the truth. Yeah, it's very important. Let's read the purport. The path of spiritual realization is undoubtedly difficult. The Lord therefore advises us to approach a bona fide spiritual master in the line of disciplic succession from the Lord Himself. No one can be a bona fide spiritual master without following this principle of disciplic succession. Yes, the Lord is the original spiritual master, and a person in the disciplic succession can convey the message of the Lord as it is to his disciple. Correct. No one can be spiritually realized by manufacturing his own process, as this is the fashion of the foolish pretenders, as we all know. The Bhagavatam 6.3.19 says, Dharmam tu sakshat bhagvat pranitamaha. The path of the spare religion is directly enunciated by the Lord. Therefore, mental speculation or dry arguments cannot help lead one to the right path. Nor by independent study of books of knowledge can one progress in spiritual life. One has to approach a bona fide spiritual master to receive the knowledge. Such a spiritual master should be accepted in full surrender, and one should serve the spiritual master like a menial servant without false prestige. Satisfaction of the self realized spiritual master is the secret of advancement in spiritual life. Inquiries and submission constitute the proper combination for spiritual understanding. Unless there is submission and service, inquiries from the learned spiritual master will not be effective. One must be able to pass the test of the spiritual master, and when he sees the genuine desire of the disciple, he automatically blesses the disciple with genuine spiritual understanding. In this verse, both blind following and absurd inquiries are condemned. Yes. No blind following and no absurd inquiry. Not only should one hear submissively from the spiritual master, but one must also get a clear understanding from him in submission and service and inquiries. A bona fide spiritual master is by nature very kind toward the disciple. Therefore, when the student is submissive and is always ready to render service, the reciprocation of knowledge and inquiries becomes perfect. Okay. I think we will end here and we will start tomorrow from text 35. Let's end with Hare Krishna Maha Mantra. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare.